we are, doubling down with trade professionals. We're kind of really showing them that we back them, we value their service, that we think in the long term this is the right move. And also, we believe it helps keep the industry healthy. This industry is made up of small business professionals, small business entrepreneurs. We don't see that changing, and this move kind of helps give them a leg up and support them.
This is Tony Arredondo with TampaPoolPro.com out of sunny Tampa, Florida, and you're listening to the Pool Chasers podcast.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on episode 31 of the Pool Chasers podcast. Our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Brad Parker. Brad is a director of brand and digital marketing at Zodiac Pool Systems, and he is here to talk to us all about Jandy Quitting the Internet. Thanks for joining us today, Brad.
Hey, thank you so much. Glad to be here, guys.
Can you please tell listeners a little bit about yourself, kind of where you grew up, how you got into the industry, and kind of what you do exactly?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in Southern California, up in Ventura specifically, pretty much raised in the same house. Growing up doing a lot of what Southern California guys do. I love to surf, love the beach. Surf to this day, that's the one sport that stayed consistent, always super active, played every sport you can think of, but really loved basketball, volleyball.
You are tall, so that helps.
I was going to say, yeah, you're a tall guy. I probably shoot some hoops.
Yeah. I played football one year. That was a lot of fun, but, after the end of that year, I figured I was better suited for basketball and volleyball.
Can you dunk? That's the question. Can you dunk?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
I used to be able to dunk just one step and boom. But,
nice. That's awesome.
Age gets the best of you eventually.
Right.
And that's cool that you surf. I mean, were you surfing like every day or?
There were times in my life where I was surfing every day or pretty much close to it. As I got into high school, got into sports and, friends and kind of other things, and would kind of maybe still go about 3 days a week. Went to college in Colorado where, got more into hiking and backpacking and snowboarding. That was kind of my replacement. Love the mountains. To this day, I love the mountains.
Yeah.
And then, once I came back to California after college, got back into it and actually spent a year traveling through South and Central America with the surfboard. 11 months just hitting spots on the Caribbean and on the Pacific side.
Chasing Mavericks or what?
No. Not quite that caliber.
You ever seen Maverick in real life?
Not in real life. I have, but not when it's breaking.
Yeah. Dude, that is, I saw the movie Maverick and I looked into it quite a bit and I was like, you must have a death wish.
Yeah.
Like to even like to think about, like not in my wildest dreams would I ever think of hitting a wave that is the size of one of the biggest buildings you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is unreal. These guys are insane.
Yeah, I got all the respect in the world for those guys, and you think of them as these kind of laid back dudes that just love to surf, but they're really kind of top class athletes too. They train, they do
really smart
holding exercises. I mean, they're calculated. They watch the weather. It's pretty neat to dig into that community.
It's wild.
Fun. So you got a degree from Colorado University?
Yeah, I went to University of Colorado in Boulder. Took a year off and kind of helped work my way through school, laying hardwood floors, and still I love kind of working with wood. And one of the hangovers from that job, got a degree in philosophy, which didn't necessarily lend itself like to being an accountant or financial advisor or anything like that. So eventually, after graduation, I had the idea that I'd want to teach English abroad. So I got English language certificate and moved down to Chile with my girlfriend then, who's my wife now. We spent the year traveling. That's where I did a bunch of surfing, came back, and then I did carpentry for about a year and a half, and then decided I wanted to teach literature. So I went back to get a master's in English.
Oh, wow.
And ended up getting that up at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
Never taught any English or literature.
No.
No, got into publishing in LA, and from there, tried to start up in San Diego. We were living in Santa Barbara. I was commuting to LA. We moved down to San Diego. Started with a publishing startup that kind of wasn't working out after a few months, and then I applied for a job at Sony, as a copywriter, headlines, taglines, that kind of stuff, and was at Sony for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And then that kind of takes me up to about 3 years ago when I joined Zodiac.
Nice.
Made the transition.
Glad to have you. So what was your role at Sony?
Sony, very similar to what I do now. Basically managed the marketing group for Vio computers, which were a big line of product for Sony at the time, and then also managed sound bars and home audio, AV receivers, that kind of stuff. And it was a fun time. I learned so much.
We can tell. We did a little research on you on the old Google and saw a picture of you with LL Cool J. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I never got to call him Todd, but I did get to hang with him for a day. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
What were you guys doing?
He had a partner actually out here in Arizona, and they had developed some audio mixing software that we loaded on our computers. And so we did kind of a joint marketing project with them to promote the software and the computer. We ran a pretty neat contest where around the U.S. we challenged people to use the software to mix their own original song, submit it. And the winner, we flew out to L.A. and they had a private mixing session with LL Cool J as well as LL Cool J's audio technician, who happened to be a Grammy Award winner. And that was pretty cool to see, to hear him kind of just put a soundtrack on the board, layer it up, hear him start tweaking different aspects of the song. And, you see how their ears work real quickly. They dial this up, dial this down, more emphasis on this. And then within about 2 hours,
those boards are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like 100 times this.
That's right. They're like this times 2, 3 of these tables.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
LL Cool J is just in the studio. He's like, man, what's Brad Parker doing?
That's right.
Let's bring him in here. That's so cool. So I'm kind of curious, and go back real quick, and then we'll jump into everything. So you said that you got into carpentry. What were you doing exactly? I mean, you went and got a degree, and you're trying to teach, and you're doing all this different stuff. Like, what got you into that?
I just always like to work with my hands. So college is expensive, and I had to take a year off to kind of build up some money, give my parents a break on paying bills. They had a couple kids in college. So I found an opportunity laying hardwood floors in Boulder. So I did that. I enjoyed it. I was probably the only 6'5", floor layer maybe in the whole United States.
You might be like double their size.
Usually they're short.
Yeah, they're super short.
We need to get you into some ceiling work.
Cleaning windows.
And then same thing when I was in grad school, to support myself, I framed houses. So more kind of rough carpentry. But it was good. It's hard work, but what's great is I still got all the tools. Nowadays I'm kind of making lattices and planters and outdoor coffee tables and stuff for my, just around the house. But it's good.
You're like Owen Wilson from Meet the Parents. Huh? That's totally cool.
Man, Kyle, that's kind of in your wheelhouse, huh? You just made your own kitchen table and some other cool stuff.
I did. Yeah, it was a project in the making, but my wife wanted a table that would fit 12 people for Thanksgiving, so I made a farm-style dining room table.
Did you get it done by Thanksgiving?
I did.
Nice.
It was ready to go and everything. And then she asked me where the chairs were. I was like, I'm not making 12 chairs. So I went and bought the chairs.
Yeah.
It was a learning experience.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at a table and you think, this won't be so hard to build. But then you get into it and you realize to create a table that sits firmly. Like one of the legs isn't just a hair short, so it's doing this, when you're eating at airports and stuff, the tables are like all over the place. trickier than you think.
Oh yeah,
you keep shaving it down to get even. By the time before you know it, it's all the way at the bottom.
Oh yeah. When I first built it, I built it on casters because I knew this table was going to be heavy because it was 10 feet long and about 60 inches across, and it was made out of 2x10s, so it was heavy. So I had these heavy duty casters, and I built it on the legs, and when we set it there, it was so tall. Yeah. It sat like up here, like it would be. You'd be eating
like an operation table.
Yeah, it was too high, so I ended up having to take the wheels off, so it wasn't mobile. But I made it so the top of the table had latches, so you could lift the top of the table off. So you could cut the weight in half. So you could move the base and then the top. So it worked out, but
it's pretty big.
Well, you ate at it. It wasn't wobbly.
I'm so proud of you, Kyle, because I couldn't make coasters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I
for sure.
I have to admit, I did go on Pinterest to get the plan for it.
Oh, you cheated.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's all right.
I'm still impressive.
Yeah, one of my crowning glories as a carpenter was I've done 2 chicken coops.
There you go.
And they're like the Taj Mahal of chicken coops.
Can you actually walk in it? I never understood why they make them half your size.
That's
so you're
right.
like ducking in there.
That's why I built one. So I had 2 chickens. They recently I think got snagged by a coyote, but the first one I built was built specifically set to my specs, so I could walk in.
It's probably the first chicken coop that's ever that tall.
Yeah. So it's about
a double decker.
First 7 foot chicken coop.
That's awesome. You never shaped any surfboards or anything?
No.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of art to that.
Yeah, I know several people that do that as kind of just a little craft on the side.
Yeah.
And it looks simple, but you could imagine just rails and boxing your fins and placement and tail, how far it comes in or not, and tail shape and nose and rocker and all this stuff. A lot of technical fine tuning goes into that.
Yeah, I always think of like the Zephyr guys, like back in the day, like and they're just drinking and like shaping boards and they got no mask. They're just all smoking and shaping them. They're like surfboard scientists.
Yeah,
fiberglass shavings everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
So what brought you over to Jandy and the swimming pool industry? Like what because Sony and all that's quite different. So
yep.
What kind of brought you into
real appealing? Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of brought you into the industry?
You know what? I Sony was great, huge company. I think at the time we had something like 125,000 global employees, which gives you a ton of resources to work with, and there were like fun trips to Tokyo and stuff to work with counterparts over there, and that kind of global experience was eye-opening and awesome. But after 10 years, you start sort of scratching and itching to see what else is out there, and looking for a place where maybe it's not so large, but still someplace that you got enough resources to do what you want to do, and an organization that can move faster, make decisions quicker, not so many layers to work through, and that's kind of where I met Zodiac and started interviewing at Zodiac. The size was right. I liked the fact that it was the pool industry because from the outside looking in, you see it as a leisure industry and kind of a lifestyle industry. And I think even as a manufacturer, where you may focus on pumps, heaters, filters, and the equipment set, the experience is that sort of fun. You think of kids laughing, you think of like the family that sees a pool build being finalized and just people like at the window, like I got to get out there and swim. And so it was attractive.
That's very cool. Greg always talks about how this industry is, super sexy, super cool, and nobody really focuses on that. It's kind of like the nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah, we don't talk about the impact that it has on so many people's lives. I mean, we both have 2 little kids, and with all the technology and all the things that they could be doing or ask us to do, like my kids still want to go swimming. It's 50 degrees outside. The pool's even colder.
Yeah.
Still ask, like, can we go swimming? Like, baby, it's cold. I had to take both of them out to the pool the other day. I'm like, put your arm in the pool. And like, yeah, it's cold. Can we go in? I'm like, no, what? Crazy? I don't even want to be outside. I'm just kidding. But I think the industry is behind in a lot of different ways. Did you see any of that from kind of being on the outside?
Yes.
Because Sony's kind of got it figured out to a degree. I mean, I know you probably have to go through different levels to do what you need to do, but Sony's a huge company. You know what I mean? Now, we love their cameras. We love a lot of things that Sony makes, but it's, you know, it's just completely different. You know what I mean? I feel like they've got their processes and different things like really figured out, and it's the technology industry. And I'm sure they're not hurting for, you know, to be selling things.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I saw a lot of opportunity to kind of improve, to introduce some of the things I'd learned elsewhere to the company. As an industry, just kind of, you know, you start just as an outsider hitting Google, you know, what's going on? Who are the players? What are they making? How are they marketing? And yeah, I mean, I think generally whatever segment you are in the industry, whether you're kind of in the field as a builder or servicer, or, you know, in Reno, or you're kind of you know, where I'm at on the manufacturer side, it's sort of not as progressive for me. I'm thinking mostly in terms of marketing and how we kind of present ourselves as companies and the extent to which we focus on our brands.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity in this industry to take a good look at other companies and figure out how do we kind of adopt what makes sense and figure out what doesn't make sense and kind of leave it to the side.
Now, was that like you saw it like as a cool, exciting challenge to kind of go to a smaller company and bring some of the assets and stuff you had?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, things are always more fun when you see challenge and opportunity. Mm-hmm. And, you know, coming in, I was always really impressed with the people at Zodiac. Very welcoming. I've always felt like the team kind of had their sights set in the right place. Mm-hmm. And it was more just a matter of kind of how you get the nuts and bolts in the right places.
You have more of like a homey feel than something like big, like Sony, like that big corporate.
It's awesome kind of being in my role and being able to talk to the leadership in a company. You know, you have an idea, you have a thought, a concern, you just go talk instead of feeling like you're way down here looking at an ivory tower.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the impact that Zodiac has had on us. I mean, even from when the first time we met Nick and then we got invited to go to the symposium in San Diego, like we talk about it all the time. We're just blown away how cool everybody was there and how welcoming they were. And we would just talk about stuff. Didn't talk about any, you know, Zodiac Jandy products or anything like that. It was just, how you doing, man? Like, we're just talking about everything. You know, Nick would be talking about the golf tournament or, you know, this and that. And, you know, he'd be doing his job as well. But it was just, you didn't feel like somebody was trying to sell you something every 2 seconds. Right. You know, it was a real kind of homey feel. We always really enjoyed that.
Definitely nothing we've ever seen before. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was new to me too. To be perfectly honest, you know, at Sony, you sell your things through Amazon or Best Buy or Costco, wherever, and that's kind of the transaction is kind of where things end, right? Like you don't have much relationship with your customer. Zodiac, that's not the case,
right?
I mean, you know, you're in it through the life cycle of the product, and you know, immediately I realized that there's so much focus on the customer and customer service, and that, you know, is really ingrained into kind of how you think. And for me, you know, you realize real quick, like, hey, as we kind of think about our marketing, you know, that's like a cultural value at the organization that we really need to kind of ingrain in our thinking as we make decisions about policies and bringing products to market and whatever it is. It's sort of a guidepost you think through and reference.
Yeah, and this would probably be a whole nother, you know, episode, but just on company culture, we can tell that must be a big deal for you guys, because just being able to run into so many people and they treat you with the same level of respect, you know, no matter if you buy one thing, buy nothing, or, you know, you're their best customer, you're going to get the same level of respect every time you're doing stuff. So that's really cool. So we're talking about progression and being progressive, and that's really, you know, why you're here today. So we've heard a lot of talk and hype for several months now that Jandy's going to be quitting the internet. That's, you know, just a huge move. And we love the fact that you as a company are listening to the community and doing your best to answer some of the biggest challenges that we face in our industry. Can you tell us a little bit about, that decision and why you guys decided to do that?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of in the spirit of what we've been talking about, but really there's kind of two key drivers that really sort of inform that decision. Number one is, between our sales team, our product team, our marketing team, even on up to VPs and general managers of the business, we spend a lot of time at trade shows or in the field seeing customers, and conflict with internet pricing came up, whether you're talking to servicers or pool builders. So that was an important piece of feedback we got. And then also we run surveys internally where we kind of get a pulse check on our customers. So we know kind of in all the ways they deal with Zodiac, what are some of the pain points, we need to be paying attention to. And again, internet comes up. So that was it, just basically listening and paying attention and making sure we're kind of hearing it. And then also, I think the other key driver is you look at a heater, a pump, a filter, a chlorinator, automation, lots of complicated connections and fittings. You're talking hydraulics, you're talking gas, you're talking electric, pretty highly engineered product. So
right.
with that, you start, you need to recognize if the quality of the install is not great, that's going to affect the pool experience. It's going to lead to faulty equipment and bad experience. There's also a lot of safety issues related to kind of how equipment is installed and put together and stuff like that. So acknowledging that, you recognize this is better left in the hands of the professionals. So really kind of the pool professional has a critical role in installing that equipment, purchasing, making sure people purchase through the Pool Pro. And those two things really kind of helped us sort of arrive at that decision.
Right. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, you guys are being, really proactive with it, and we'll get more into it because, that can only get worse. Amazon's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're on the news every single day for good things. And then there was a bad thing this morning, but, there's all kinds of stuff going on like that. If you want to call it a problem, it's still a beautiful thing. Everyone here probably shops on Amazon every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, the difference is you buy a lamp, you plug it into the wall, you're done. You did your job. Turned on, nobody got hurt. A pump or a heater, it's a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And a professional really needs to do that. And us being in the pool service industry, and we did repairs, we know that we've had to have that, that discussion many, many times. So looking from the outside in, we can see that this must have been a huge financial risk for you guys. Can you talk a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, hey, look, there's no question that there is financial impact by pulling things off the internet. And I think what it kind of speaks to is the fact that, Zodiac as a company, by pulling all Jandy equipment off the internet and kind of going through that process as, really starting it effectively January 1st, we are, doubling down with trade professionals. We're kind of really showing them that we back them, we value their service, that we think in the long term this is the right move. And also, we believe it helps keep the industry healthy. This industry is made up of small business professionals, small business entrepreneurs. We don't see that changing. And this move kind of helps give them a leg up and support them.
Yeah, I mean, because as a company, all those online sales, I'm sure, provide value. So for you to really just yank that off, it's a pretty ballsy move to take that off and try to transition into that trade series. But I'm pretty impressed with that decision, to be honest. And we talked about it for years as, with our company. But there's definitely, you can see it. And I'm sure it's probably one of the biggest questions out there or topics out there that people are talking about is like, how can they possibly even make that move, So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, we talk about it all the time. Zodiac's on a whole nother level, business than just a pool service and repair company, but
right.
There's still the same approach. You see a problem, we need to fix it. With our service company, when a problem would come up, we would have to, take a step back and figure out how that we were going to fix that problem. Because if we kept doing things that way, we were going to get hurt, like, in the future. So you guys are doing the same thing pretty much, just being really proactive and knowing that you work with a lot of service professionals and how can we help them? Because this is obviously an issue. It keeps coming up, when we're asking people if they have any questions or if there's any struggles in their business and different things like that. And if you hear that keep coming up, feel like you guys are, doing sort of a honorable thing in trying to do something to fix it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think, the sort of the basic math is simple. It's a small business that will make this industry healthy. And, for any manufacturer, if the small businesses aren't healthy, if the industry's not healthy, if the industry's not healthy, everyone suffers. So this was really kind of directed at kind of create that groundswell. Let's look long term. Let's make a bet that this is, one of many moves we can make now so that 5, 10, 20 years down the road, the people that own the companies now, it's their sons and daughters that are able to take it over and keep something going and not see yet another industry kind of die a slow death.
Do you remember sitting in the room when this conversation started to happen? Like you don't have to say who, but like when the idea came about to quit the internet, what was the feedback from everybody in the room? Maybe if you don't mind sharing.
Just kind of on a general level, it started off as smaller conversations. Hey, what if we did this? Oh, that's interesting, but we really need to kind of look into that, right? And you start realizing just the feedback keeps coming from pool pros that this is really crippling them in some sense, and that it's not just a pocket of the industry. It's, you're hearing it from a wide swath of people. And then, the conversations got more serious and formal. And then the investigations into how you would execute and what would be involved just ramped up. And, I do remember being in a room with our larger team, and we kind of went around and everyone got there to put forward their opinion on whether we think this is a good move. And it was pretty much unanimous. And from there, it wasn't a question of whether we do it. It was a question of how. And, that's pretty exciting and fun. I was talking earlier about being part of a sort of smaller organization where you get to sort of be in the boxing ring and see how decisions are made. And that was really cool.
Nice. I bet.
So you said the other day that Jandy is striving to be the company that cares most about the industry. One of the comments that we'd received on our Instagram post was that corporate people only see black and white and that people are only loyal to money. What are your thoughts on, that comment?
There's no question that money's a critical consideration when someone's looking to make any purchase in life. I would certainly argue that there's several other factors consumers are willing to consider in addition to price. And I think if you look around any one of us in terms of our consumer behavior, there's, I don't always buy the cheapest everything. I tend to drink, Pete's and Starbucks coffee versus getting it at the gas station. I have certain brands I'm loyal to, even though I know I'm going to be charged a premium, but that's usually tied to quality or the amount of the attention I feel like the brand pays to me, maybe through communications or through the way they sort of customize service for me, or they listen to me when I have a problem. So, I think kind of getting at this question and sort of, Zodiac's approach to our customers, of course, we know price is going to be a consideration, but we're, in addition to being aware of that, we want to focus on all those other aspects of the relationship a company and a brand has to a person and make sure those are the best. So like warranty processes, make sure that those are kind of quick, efficient, and tuned into the need on the other side.
What about the company only sees black and white? Like, because I feel like a lot of people probably think and feel that way, and a lot of corporate industries pretty much see that way. But as I see this move, it doesn't really feel that you guys are just looking at black and white. There's a lot of different perspectives, different thought processes put into this, right?
When you got to make big decisions, you kind of got to be firm and land on one side, or the other of any sort of decision or judgment. So maybe in that sense, we see this as the right move and we're really kind of committing to it. That said, we realize there's all kinds of nuance and gray areas to this and how it'll be executed and enforced, and still lots of questions out there, which will clear up over time.
There always is. I feel like even just us really kind of looking at it, it just seems pretty complex that you have so many different parts and products, and there's so many people that work here. And you think about, you have a business, and not just service and repair companies and builders. You have, maybe dropship stores, and you have, these brick and mortar stores that actually have a brick and mortar storefront that are selling a product, and they have stuff that they're selling online, and they're going to stop maybe doing that. That's still, they're not spending that money with you guys anymore. And it just seems like there's so many different avenues you can go down, that it's going to take a second. Even if you were a little bit smaller, I feel like it would take a little while to really perfect that. And it won't probably ever be perfect, but doing something opposed to nothing, it's like, you got to think about that. Would you rather do nothing or do something? Firm believer in making things better.
Right. And I think the status quo was creating a lot of trouble and static for people in our industry. So there is kind of high confidence that this is a really good step in the right direction. And like I said, this is, if we can take steps, the people that participate in this industry, if we can kind of be aware of a bigger picture and be taking steps to kind of help make the industry healthier for the long term, you're doing the right thing. You're moving in the right direction.
Right. So on that flyer, we got a big old flyer. We just took a picture of it, and it says, on there pretty bold that talk is cheap. We're taking action. That is a very strong statement. And we, believe that as well. What are some of the ways that you as a team are taking action?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, number one, we announced the policy in October or late September. January 1st, it's now effective. As of January 1st, we have been actively going through the process of pulling Jandy equipment off the internet. And just to be clear, that's, there's been some confusion about Jandy Pro Series versus Jandy. It's all Jandy equipment, over 400 Jandy equipment, whole good models coming off. So the fact that we've kind of made the move and are now starting to proactively get out there, monitor the internet, find violations, follow up with the violators, work on getting this stuff down off the internet is a big piece of it. And then the enforcement piece around the warranty. So any equipment purchased online will not receive a manufacturer's warranty. So that's another case where, we're taking clear action. And on top of that, there's the part of communicating to the trade professionals. We also have a very clear statement on our website, more directed at pool owners and potential pool owners. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands and thousands of people come to jandy.com. And we have right there on our site a real clear statement of, why we're choosing to make this move, why you should only work with a pool professional, and that also the notice that, if you do purchase online, we will not provide a manufacturer's warranty. So we're trying to make sure that communication pieces are out there in place so consumers know, pool professionals know. And then on the enforcement end, we've already started kind of getting out there and taking the actions in that regard.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about whether or not, you have your new pump and then the old pump is online available. So a lot of times, the way we see the industry, someone comes out with a new pump, the old version gets pulled from distribution, then that distribution goes to online. So really there's statements like you'll have one or two improvements on this new pump, and maybe you get an extra year warranty out of it. Sometimes they'll do that. So, you really are taking all of that off, right? So it's like every version of that pump, all the Jandy products are coming off. So it's not like I, as a consumer, can go out and say, talk to the pool professional, and he tells me that this pump is better because X, Y, and Z. And I can say, well, I don't care about X, Y, and Z because it's basically the same pump. There's a lot of smart people out there. We have several customers that were like crazy, super smart people, and they don't understand the industry, but they understand how a pump can work, So you're trying to explain to them, okay, yeah, this feature is a little bit better, and they don't, so basically just say, so you're telling me I can buy like last year's model for a couple $100 cheaper? And yeah, you can, basically that's been available up until now, right?
Right.
And it's cool.
Yeah, no, in this case, the whole point is to kind of just get rid of that conversation that a dealer and a pool owner have. It's you're not going to find this Jandy pump available in store, but then still floating out there is a legacy pump, Jandy branded, whether it's legacy or the newest and latest and greatest with all the, features and stuff. It's all offline. So that's what we're doing the sweep on right now.
That's a very big move. That to me makes the difference. That's the biggest part of like the decision. and the warranty side, which we'll get to. But that's the biggest thing is like now that conversation is no longer even there, which is really cool from a sales perspective.
Have you had any feedback from, homeowners, pool owners?
Very minor. Very minor.
I mean, it's still relatively new.
It's still new. I expect that, there's a lot of DIYers out there that'll say, hey, a pump's not so complicated to me. I'm on the side, maybe a plumber or, just maybe comfortable working with their hands. And they probably, may not like the fact that while they can read all about the pump, the internet's great for information. So all of our equipment will still be available to learn about and be searched on. And, you can get educated on it online. There just won't be pricing. So, consumer may want the leverage. They look at the price here. And then when they look at, an invoice on a pool build or a equipment replacement, they want to be able to.
Yeah, they'll see a little bit of the markup and the install fees and all that. Yeah, that's good that's not there.
Do you get any kind of discount working at Zodiac on pool supplies? You get a creepy
G3.
Yeah, a G3.
Yeah,
discount. That's for you, Nick.
Yeah,
G3.
Yeah.
10%.
Of course, man. Like any good brand, you want your employees using your stuff. I mean, your employees are your biggest ambassadors. I'm actually going through the process right now of fielding quotes on a pool. I moved into a house. I got this big yard, and so I mean, I'm right there, and like you can guess what equipment I'll want on.
I think I can guess. Yeah. Dude, Nick's crazy, man. He would drive like from Dumb and Dumber, the Shaggin' Wagon. He would drive something like that said Jandy on it, I'm sure. Does he have a Jandy tattoo? Does he have a Jandy tattoo?
He got the
He's
bicep.
Jandy strong? Yeah, bicep on it.
Jandy strong.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hey, Pool Chasers, since we're talking with Jandy and they make equipment, we thought it'd be really cool to tell you a little bit how we use Jobber with our repair division and install department at Brothers Pool Service. So I would go out into the customer's home and do the bid, take all the notes, all the pictures, enter them into the software. Once that was done, I would then send the quote. They would accept it. Once the quote was accepted, it would go onto the schedule. This part was really cool because I could kind of schedule each repair technician's day, put all the notes in there so they had that. Once the day of the job was there, the repair technicians would come in, they would look at their day, they can map it out using GPS coordinates, and that was really cool because they could see their start of their day to the end of the day, kind of where they're at, and map that with the traffic and everything. So once they were at the job, they would then check in, so which we would know where they're at as an office administration. So if something came up in the field, we could give them a call, say, hey, I know you're in the area, would you mind going by and checking this real quick? So that made it really convenient for us. And once they were completed with the job, then they would take all the pictures, so we had proof that the install was done in there, and they would collect payment and the transaction would be done, so we knew that repair was completed. So it was really cool, very easy to use software, and it made it much easier for us to stay organized. So if you guys want to try Jobber, go to getjobber.com/poolchasers. That's getjobber.com/poolchasers. Go there for your free trial and 20% off your first 6 months, and we promise you won't be disappointed. Also, if you guys missed episode 30, we discussed how we are now doing Pool Chasers full-time. That's right, we are doing it full-time. We're super excited for it, guys. It's a very big step as husbands and as fathers, but we truly believe in the message. We 100% believe in the Pool Chasers community. So we launched our Patreon page, so if the podcast has brought you any value at all, please consider donating financially. Every little bit helps. We're very committed to bringing you guys the best content possible. This will help us go out and get that content for you. So if you believe in the podcast as much as we do and you want to sign up to be a patron, go to patreon.com/poolchasers. That's patreon.com/poolchasers. This would mean the world to us, guys. We truly appreciate your time and your ear. We will not take it for granted. Thank you so much for your support. So obviously other manufacturers have trade series lines. You guys came out with the first trade series line, right? If I remember correctly. So, other companies do have trade series lines. So we kind of talked about a little bit, how it's different as far as not being able to buy legacy stuff, but what makes it different than other companies' trade series?
I think one of the biggest differences is we have over 400 products total on our trade series program. On all those products, which even includes some Polaris and Zodiac branded cleaners, there's simply no warranty if it's purchased online. But I think the fact that all Jandy equipment, all Jandy whole goods is, we're in the process of pulling it down off the internet. An entire, branded equipment line will now be reserved wholly for the trade is huge. And also kind of what we touched on earlier. I mean, this means that when pool pros recommend our equipment, the risk is mitigated that 48 hours later, they're going to get a phone call or an email saying with screenshots of product online somewhere at a discounted price versus what they're putting in the statement of work or the invoice or whatever. So I think to me, that's really a critical one. We don't have derivative pumps floating out there. If it's got a Jandy label on it, that's going to be in the process of being pulled off.
Man, Greg and I were talking earlier. I went through a little bit of our customer emails to try to find some of these conversations, and that was one of them. Like he said, I had screenshots of Amazon and said like this pump plus install is $1,000. Can you match that? I'm like, $1,000? I'm like, no, that's difficult. It wasn't. Yeah. I look at the email. I can't read it all because my response is like 10 paragraphs, like not that long, but 3 or 4 paragraphs of like explaining why. I have written 10 paragraphs.
No, I know. I'm just
but there's a 3-paragraph email explaining why they should go with us, and why going with a professional is better, and why getting the warranty through us is better, and all this stuff has to be explained based solely on that conversation. It eliminates a lot of that, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the one that we just recently saw was, I think, on a JXI.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that our price came in higher than 2 or 3 of our competitors,
Mm-hmm.
but they still went with us because they trusted us, and he really enjoyed the experience that we had given him and his family. So we've gotten that quite a bit, not just on like the, internet stuff, but just feel like the experience is a whole another thing that if you give somebody a good experience and you care about them and you communicate with them properly and you call them back and you email them back in a timely manner and you're professional and you're caring to a certain degree, that is something that the internet cannot do, because the internet is there to simply sell you something cheaper and get out. And you might get, 2 or 3 emails every single day saying, hey, hope you're doing well. Here's some stuff that some other things that you'd like to buy. You know what I mean?
Some additions to what you just bought.
Yeah. But there's so many times that we did what was in their best interest, where we went back there and saw maybe an old pump or an old filter. And they'd be like, I'm sure you want to, sell me a new whatever. And be like, you know what? The pool is safe. It's clear. I don't see any leaks. Don't see anything. How about we just kind of keep it the way it is? And we'll just keep an eye on it. I think we'll just throw a $10 O-ring on it. I think it'll be all right. That right there, boom, pump goes out 6 months. They don't even have to think about it because they're like, I trust these guys. They could have said something on the initial bid, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And that's just back to, not to toot our horn, but, we're just, especially you too, Kyle, we're just good people. And that's what we think about. What would we want if somebody came to our home and saw something? Do we want to be upsold on the most expensive product on the market? Like, be honest with me. Does this need to be done? Do I just need an O-ring? Do I just need to do this? And I think that level of honesty and giving people a real experience, will get you that much further. But you also got to know your stuff. As an industry, we have to know our parts and know our products, because if you're trying to sell a customer a new pump or a heater or a filter, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you just see dollar signs and they know more than you do, it doesn't make us look good. It's like, you need it. What are they going to call you guys at Zodiac? Hey, I'm trying to have this installed, and they're saying that, a professional has to do it. It's like, yeah, that's right. It's like, well, they're not very professional. They don't know anything about this. Like, I don't know what to tell you. They should be. I don't know. You want me to find somebody different for you? So it's kind of our responsibility as well to, know these products in and out. That way you can sell it better, but also you're not just selling something expensive. You're selling the best product for that customer.
Yeah, and we got another comment from the Instagram feed yesterday about brand loyalty. People don't care about brands. People don't, they're just going to go for the cheapest price. So we can kind of tie that into here as well. I don't think that that's really true as far as from our experience as a service company. You sell yourself, you sell that loyalty, that trust. And, we did a good job at explaining to customers, I think, like, okay, this pump looks a little older and it's probably going to go out in the next year, but right now it runs fine. So we'll replace the O-ring. And, if it gets louder or starts making noises, at that point, we need to take some more action. You didn't sell them something they didn't need at that time. So when that stuff happens, then that trust is there, and they go to you and they say, okay, Mrs. Jones, your pump's bad. This is what we use. This is the brand we believe in. This is the product we believe in. This is what we think you should put in, in whether they go to the internet and look at, but they're going to be looking up that product. You know what I mean? I don't really think they go and just try to find a cheap pump. There are a few. And I think, the build loyalty and trust with your specific weekly customers, the ones that you have that with, we didn't experience that. The one-off repairs here and there, those are a little bit harder because they don't have that trust established. But
they came back.
They do come back sometimes for sure. But, that definitely makes a difference to those customers. If you explain that and you earn that trust, they're going to go with the pump you want or the filter you want, more than likely. And from our experience anyways, I don't think that was really a big issue.
So, I mean, like, how many times did you run up to customers like Greg Lang? I mean, I've seen you make a million trips up there where it got to the point where anything that you recommended to him is just like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, I don't even need at this point, because in the beginning, and Kyle, like, man, the dude wanted insane details. Okay, I think I understand. Can you come to my house and break that down?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I can do that. You're not close.
Yeah, man. I went to his house and literally walked, the wall and said, like, automation panel is going to go here. This pump goes here. These wires go here. Like, there's a lot of explanation, but I mean, we had.
But it got to a point to where it didn't need to do that anymore because it's like, no, this is my guy. Like, I deal with Ty, my brother's pool service. They clean the pool once a week, and whatever they think the pool needs, we'll do it. Yeah, the filter needs to be cleaned every 6 months. But they're saying it needs to be, every 3 months because of, this crazy Palo Verde tree that's hanging over my pool. I don't care. Like, what's in the best interest of my pool. All I know is I want to enjoy it. And when I decide to do that, it's enjoyable. Case closed.
Yeah. There's another point I want to make with that too. And I think I definitely understand, and we definitely understand that, like, when you're first starting off as a small business, or things you take on jobs that you might not take on when you get bigger. And we were bigger, so I understand it's not like everybody can't make these choices, but you should definitely vet those customers. I mean, if your customer you're telling them to buy this pump and they're getting you some cheap Harbor Freight pump, those aren't the customers you want. Those are not the ones that are going to be the loyal customers to you. They're just going to keep looking on Yelp or looking on Google for the cheapest option. And that's not a loyal customer. You're looking for loyal customers as an established organization, established business. You want the people that are going to be there. Like I said, I get that not everybody has that luxury right at the beginning, and we did the same thing. I took on a lot of jobs that sucked, and I learned a lot of lessons. But, over time, you learn, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to do that again. And I'll, next time this issue comes up, like, I'll change the way I say things, and we'll talk about different, we had scripts and we had conversations, lots of conversations about going into backyards and looking at certain things and explaining a certain way. And if we got feedback from customers where it was like, yeah, that was harsh, I should not have said that way, or, we lost that job because of this, because I probably was impatient and whatever. And you just learn, but you want the customers that are going to respect you as well. You don't want the crappy customers that go out and just look for the cheapest option. That's not any of the customers you want. So,
but it's just like anything else. You got to work your ass off and pay attention all the time. Pay attention. We did that from day one. Pay attention. We screwed up a million times.
Yeah.
But every time we did, we're like, why did that go that way? I did everything I could. Even it got to the point where it was like, I bet because I did everything that I was supposed to do. Maybe they're just having like a bad day. You start to think about, like, these are just human beings. You know what I mean? What could they be going through? And every single time that we would get to the bottom of something and be like, I'm so sorry, man. I'm going through this divorce, or I'm, like, they would really open up with us, and we'd be like, man, I'm so sorry. But made us feel better that we weren't like, you know what? Go call somebody else. Like, I'm not dealing with your shit anymore, dude. You're pissing me off. I got problems too, man.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? You're not the only one with problems, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice here, and you're just being super rude.
Yeah.
We should do a whole thing like things not to say to customers. Nobody go off.
We're definitely going to do that at some point.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
You might have 5 stars, but if that is one of your negative ones, that'll stick out like a sore thumb.
Now, it is funny that, like, what you guys are saying, we know that Jandy equipment, for the most part, is getting hidden in the backyard behind bushes or a little pony wall or a fence or on the ugly side yard or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, to what you guys are saying, it's you're the brand, the personality, the conversation up front, we're like secondary. Pool owners thinking of experience. Does this guy smell? Does he smell nice? Is he nice? Did he return my call? Do I trust him?
Does his truck look like crap? Is there stuff falling all out of it? There's
I mean,
a lot of stuff.
We're kind of on the way back into that relationship. And even when you say, I recommend, this pump and that filter, and they might see a white box in the back of the truck. And then other than that, they only see it if they walk to the far side of the yard and peek behind that fence and, Jandy.
Right.
Exactly.
So let's talk about warranty. This is huge part of it, obviously. And if a product is purchased online, regardless of who installs it, there's no warranty, right? With this new wave. So, we had a meeting back 6 months ago with Michelle, Mike, and Nick, and we stressed the same importance with them was that there's always a workaround if there's a old version. People are going to go exploit it. You guys, being able to hold true to that statement, if you guys can hold true to that statement of no warranty, to us, that's a huge game changer, because the fact that you can't get a warranty if you do this, there's no 30 days, no 60 days, no, if a professional installs it, who's a professional, who counts as a professional? I don't know. Does the handyman count as a professional? There's all this kind of gray area with everything of this trade series and warranties and what you're gonna uphold and not, but if you guys can stick to that, that's a huge game changer, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is if purchased online, no warranty. So not a complicated policy statement, pretty straightforward. And you're 100% correct, on the Zodiac side, that's where there's bite to the policy. And that's what we plan to enforce. So there's not going to be shades of gray that, in this circumstance, we'll make an exception for 60 days. And in this circumstance, you get 120. Like, nah, maybe going back to a little bit of that black and white conversation. I mean, you make a decision, it needs to be clear and simple for people to understand it. If we make it complex, people won't understand it, and executing it will be not as simple as it could be and clean. So it's pretty straightforward. We're already enforcing it. And
obviously it takes time, right? So, I mean, there's going to be product that you have out there from last year that's still getting moved out at this point. It's very fresh policy, so there's going to be some, little bit of transitional period.
It's true that there is a transitional period, but, still the bottom line is as of January 1st, policy became effective. So any product sold, purchased online after that date, there's no debate.
Right.
Nice.
So you've stated that you as a team are actively promoting pool professionals and making it easier for consumers to find them. How exactly are you doing that?
So I think there's a lot of different components to this. Number one, though, we've been trying to be clear with consumers. So this isn't a policy we've just rolled out to actual pool professionals. It's a policy that we've rolled out via social and also Jandy.com to pool owners. So we actually hit quite a few people, particularly at Jandy.com, where we are aware of how much traffic we get, and it's quite significant. But we clearly tell them that number one, no warranty if purchased online. We explain the reasons why. That these are complex pieces of equipment, and they require kind of expertise and training. And we let them know what the warranty is should they purchase online. And then we also kind of really break down the reasons why they should work with a pool pro. And it even gets into there's a municipal national and municipal safety regulations and building codes and things like that your DIYer may not know, that heaters need to be put in this certain location, so they're aware from windows and other things like that. And then in addition, those messages are always tied into our locator, which is sort of our device to help drive interested pool owners directly to dealer in their area. So that's a second component that we're continually trying to fine tune and make more accurate, make sure it's working good and actually delivering leads to the people that work within the Jandy network.
And that's on the website, the locator?
That's all on Jandy.com.
So the consumer goes there and just types in a zip code or something, and it'll just show you them dealers in that area?
If you go to Jandy.com, you'll see a section on why you should work with pool pros and what our policy is. From there, you can find a pool pro. You go there, and whether you're looking for new construction, service, or even retail, it'll send you to a list of dealers in your particular area, sorted by zip.
And how are you guys choosing pool professionals?
We look at kind of where first of all, they got to be part of one of our loyalty programs, have some sort of level of commitment to us. And then from there, it's based on logic that will kind of mix things around, what tiered status they have. A lot of times based on the amount of work they do with us. We want to reward people that support us.
Sure.
Basic kind of business principle, right?
Yeah, every company does that.
So if they're actually doing the work, they have experience.
That's right. Yeah. And the more work you do, the better, installing our equipment, making sure it's a good experience.
Yeah, more knowledgeable on your specific equipment as well.
Right. So that's really one of the most important criteria to depend on kind of, number one, whether you're part of it, and then where you kind of rank in terms of the locator.
So you're more looking at, their experience, because obviously if they're doing so many of these pumps, filters, heaters, they're probably going to be a good fit for what these people need.
Yep.
Nice. So what exactly is Jandy doing to monitor the internet? What kind of team do you have in place to help with this process? Because, we're here almost thinking of a scene from The Departed or something where, you got like all these people looking at, computer screens and, they're ready to, attack, if there's any.
You know what? It's not so far off from that. First, there's kind of a mix of software and technology we use. And then there's also kind of the people that sort of are behind that, looking at what the reports say and sort of doing the follow-up, making the calls, making the decisions. But yeah, we utilize software that crawls the internet 24/7 and spits out real-time reports of what product is showing up for sale online. And we get information on who the seller is and what site it's on. And we're able to take that and then determine kind of who's the seller behind it. And then from there, start our series of communications to work to remove it. So it's a dedicated team that we set up last year going into 2019, so that basically as of January 1st, we were ready to go.
That's awesome that you guys just dedicate, an entire team to looking out for this whole entire process, because that is something that has to be, if you're going to monitor it and tell people they can't, sell this stuff online, you're going to have to watch it 24/7. There's only so much that, a software can do. Mm-hmm. You have to really be checking these things out. Have you guys had any issues with counterfeit, pumps being made or filters or anything with your name on it that were, not real?
Not regarding Jandy to date. I mean, it's always something we're keeping our eyes on because it does pop up, but not that hasn't been a big issue for us to date.
That's good, because I know we were talking recently that, imagine being like a Nike or something. That is a $1 million industry, mm-hmm. Where people are making millions off of counterfeit, Jordans and Nike running shoes and different things like that. And, to really kind of, sit here and have a team that's just looking out for that 24/7, who knows what else you might find in trying to protect all of us. Because that's all we need is someone being like, oh, I found this here and you guys can't do anything because it's, jammy, No, not Jandy. It's Jamy. It's a jammy, They manipulated it, whatever that percentage to.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned to us the other day on the call that you have people there answering the phone. So like if somebody calls, like there's actually somebody going to answer the phone, right? Like a team that actually is going to do things.
That's right. Yeah. So if, Zodiac has our team that's enforcing, but then also, we know that there's, this process of removing stuff from the internet, it's not like, hey, January 1, we called the policy out, and January 2, it's all good. It's going to take a while, and we know that even a while from now, once we feel like we've got the internet in a good place and we've done a good sweep and have kind of managed it well, we know that, on a daily basis, someone else could be coming up, and it could be by accident. It's not always intentionally meant to harm anyone. It's just something slips up, we catch it, shut it down, or someone could be actually trying to sneak something through and find a way around the policy and get it out there. So there is also a email address, enforcement@zodiac.com, where if anybody, any pool professional or anyone sees something out there, if it comes up in a conversation, it can be reported. We also have a hotline that can be called, which you'll find in on our website and the kind of brochures and promotions we put out there.
Yeah, that was a question later on, but we can just kind of address that here. I mean, what can we do as pool professionals to help that? We hear those conversations. You can contact you guys, right, and show you where the violations are at to help with that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really about being aware of the policy and supporting it. So, that means don't buy equipment online and don't support anyone who's selling it online. And then if you do find stuff out there being sold online, or if one of your customers brings it to you, we've set up that email and that phone number so that you can let us know about it, so we're aware. And I can guarantee that we will follow up and investigate and work to resolve it.
It's a big guarantee.
It is, but I mean, that's what we're set up for. This industry is an industry that if someone says something, you're expected to, fulfill the commitment. So we've really gone to great lengths to make sure that this isn't just a nice statement meant for buzz, that there's all the right mechanisms and processes behind it to make sure that we can execute it. And if, 12 months from now, we're sitting here and, you see all the same crap out there online, I mean, what would you guys say? You'd say, what the heck was that all about? Nothing's changed. So,
right.
There needs to be progress that people, okay, January, I'm seeing this, maybe so many months down the road, they're noticing they don't have to have so many of those conversations. Well, that's because we're in the background trying to identify it, get it all off, and make sure that this is, happening, that it's a movement, not just a policy that floats around.
Definitely. And this is just going to get so much worse with time. I feel like this is a business that everybody's trying to be a part of now, is selling stuff online, because it's pretty easy with little risk to drop ship or just have a product and ship it out. There's not a whole lot of physical work to it. And, just with time, especially places like Amazon that are fulfillment centers, and you're sending stuff there and they handle all the work, like, why wouldn't people do it to make money? You know what I mean? So just back to being proactive in, doing something before it's just like completely out of control, because it will be for a lot of other, we're seeing it everywhere. A lot of people are having to close shop because they just can't compete.
But there's a difference, right? Like in selling little cleaner parts here and there online, as opposed to selling big pumps, filters, heaters. So I think there's obviously those stores that are selling, smaller chlorine floaters, stuff like that is like much different than like what this statement's being made with. No, you need a pool professional to install this stuff because it's very, complex. And so there's both avenues for that.
Yeah, most definitely. But that stuff that's cheap stuff too. Yeah. That stuff has to go in volume. You know what I mean? There's not as much consequence, if your duck floater isn't twisting correctly, which you never do.
Oh yeah, the duck floaters are.
It's the solar ones that are completely round.
Yeah,
literally have to hug to do it.
Yeah, could you make this any slicker?
Chlorine all over you. You're like, oh.
Now I need a new shirt.
Butterball? Dude, those eyeball ones still creep me out. Do not like those.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not a real eyeball. It's just weird. I'm like, I don't see the movie Clockwork Orange way too many times or something. So what are some of the consequences if somebody violates the policy? Does it escalate even if they continue to violate that?
Yeah, there's an escalation process. So we found that, sometimes when we find stuff online and contact people, they're really good about getting it off. Like, oh, I didn't realize it, sorry, boom. And it comes down within 24 hours. In the case that, there's more stubborn violators or people that continually try to change a name up front but keep selling stuff around, we have an escalation process so that it continually will, you'll go from a more cordial request to pull it down on up to, after several attempts, we kind of are telling people we withhold the right to stop selling to them. So basically, we'll figure out where you get it and make sure that, you can't sell our stuff online.
And you can track that basically by like serial numbers, right? Where it was purchased.
Well, we can typically find out who the seller is and then figure out how they're getting equipment and monitor it that way. And the other thing we can also do is typically a lot of people are part of our programs So we can withhold incentive, rebates.
Like the ZPPN.
Yeah,
yeah.
or Pro Edge or
Mm-hmm.
Retail Select. So we can also withhold,
and that's huge for a lot of
loyalty
people.
benefits and stuff. So we have some good ways we can make sure people are complying.
Does each piece of equipment have some kind of serial number or something on it that people can look up pretty easily to see what the date is on it? Because I mean, if we're looking for stuff, past a certain date to see if there could be a warranty or, just feel like we're always kind of having to try and help out the customer as much as possible in figuring out, because they don't have anything, they can't ever track, or it's just taking too long. It's like, we need to figure something out. It's 115 degrees outside.
All products have some sort of numeric ID on them, and right now we're in the process of going through a more kind of robust serialization system that allows for the kind of detailed tracking. But yeah, currently there are sort of identifiers on product that we can use to help us.
Yeah, sometimes I wish that they could just put January 1st, 2019. I don't always understand why the numbers got to be. It's like, oh, it's after the Q and before the N, and if it has a P at the end, that means I'm like, why?
But that only applies to models X, Y, and Z. If it was made before this such a date, the serial number is actually only 8 digits. Yeah, some of them are very difficult to find out when it was made, so you can warranty it.
Yeah, like you register your desk lamp, and you got to go to the site, and they show you like images of where to find the registration number, and you're sitting there like,
jeez.
Yep.
It's like, what is this, like a vintage Porsche or something? You gotta go back in the archives to find some information on it. It's crazy.
Tag matches.
Yeah. So when a product is purchased properly through a pool professional, what does the customer need to do to solidify the warranty? And, how does that process work?
Basically, whether it comes in through registration or warranty, we'll be looking for receipts, statement of works, invoices, any sort of documentation that just shows us that it wasn't purchased online, that it was purchased through a pool professional. So there's going to be different ways they can kind of show proof, but that level of confirmation is what we'll be looking for.
Definitely.
Nice. So how can pool professionals kind of take advantage of this policy, to help increase their sales? What do you think they can do?
Well, I mean, the aim of the policy, I think one of the ways we're hoping to support actual increase in business is that this policy will help mitigate or even kind of eliminate the pricing conflict conversations that pool pros are having to deal with right now. So ideally, by eliminating that, maybe you sort of subtract an element that a consumer might be feeling cheated because they're finding it here for this, but you're offering this, because ideally they're just hearing it from you and understanding what value the pool pro adds to that piece of equipment. I really believe too that emphasizing the fact that Jandy has this firm policy in place, which is really geared towards ensuring kind of a quality install and a nice, safe, good swimming pool experience for the consumer. To me personally, I think that makes sense, that kind of as, like we talked about, you all are the brand up front. I mean, they're buying your brand before they buy our brand. But to have that sense that the brand that's going to be kind of that engine of the pool working and staying clear and nice and crystalline, that the company is so set on sort of ensuring a good experience set by quality equipment, by a firm warranty that really kind of ensures things are done right in the first place, is an important message that, I think, as we talk about, does brand matter, experience matters? I mean, that's part of the experience that I think this policy helps facilitate.
I think that's so important that I think everybody needs to figure out even their system of, when you get a good job where you're able to install maybe a new pump, filter, automation, all these different types of things, maybe an inline chlorinator or something, that you capture all that, through even images, and you're sharing it on social, and you painted all the PVC and you labeled all the pipes, and everything was set correctly, and you got a good, review from the customer. It's like capturing all of that and really presenting it to the next person. Because I know even before, when we were people wanted to do, new pump filter automation and different things like that, we would show them a similar setup and we would, like, hey, look at the setup that we did for someone else. This is what it would look like. This is what you have now, and this is what it'll look like afterwards. And, this is the problem that their pool had, similar to what you kind of have, and haven't had any issues since. And the convenience is, amazing. We always thought it'd be really funny around Halloween where, you're going through, spider webs and different things to get to your, equipment. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't really have to do that anymore because you have a professional that's going to be back there. But if you want to turn on lights or you want to do this, it's just like a button click away. You don't have to deal with any of that. And yeah, exactly. And technology is not 100%, but you have to always figure out what could their response be? Be like, well, what if my friend said that, sometimes it would do this? Like, well, have you ever had a drop call? Do you know how a phone works? Like, you know what I mean? It's like all these things that, we count on technology so much that it's like, you really need to like think about it. Like, how does that really work? And if you can't really figure that out, like it's pretty crazy, so give it a break. But always, being a little bit proactive and, back to, showing them what you've done. Everybody's on social media now, and people are looking on Google and Yelp and Thumbtack, Angie's List and Nextdoor and all these different things. You really need to showcase what you're doing. And we always talk about how that made us better, because if you're going to take a picture of something, you're probably going to want to label it. You're probably going to want to do all these different things. You're probably going to want to put a new pad down. It's like, oh, it looks good, but there's like crazy crack pads everywhere. You put like an old VCR underneath the pump to keep it going, but it's like, anyway, but it's all these different things, and there's different methods. And I feel like I don't see that too much in people sending like a real kind of proposal of, hey, this is what you have. This is what you can get, and these are the features and benefits. Right. And I'd love to talk with you more about it, but just every company's different, but you've got to get comfortable with the products you use and have that banter and prepare yourself for what's to come. Because it can't really go too many different ways. There's only a handful of, different conversation you get. Like, how much money is it going to save me? Mm-hmm. It's like, I didn't even think about that. Like, is there a calculator or something? I don't like, what? How would I calculate that? Like, man, never mind. Just keep what I have. But, all that's really important. So you explained to us, and I know we already kind of talked about this, but we talked about, this is a long-term commitment. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, this isn't something that's like, well, 2020, if it's not here, like we're done. It's all going back online. That's not the case, right? No,
I mean, that's not happening. Yeah, this decision was made with kind of the long term in mind. Like I said, I mean, we think this is one decision that can help support healthy industry for the long term. We see it making an impact on people's businesses. As part of that commitment too, we know that stuff's been online for a long time. And just unwinding that and sweeping the internet is not there's no genie that does this and it's all off. So that's why we have the team, and kind of like we were talking about, the point is that there's visible progress as we go month to month to month to month over the coming months and years. So really we want to be upfront acknowledging that. We want people to understand that it's not easy. It'll take work. We're kind of going sort of upstream here based on kind of which direction the river's been flowing the last couple of years. So, in that spirit, asking for some patience, follow the policy, help support the policy. You see stuff out there, don't just get mad and blame us. We have the email, we have the hotline. Let us know so we can address it, because we're committed to this. And over time, we're making sure things move in the right direction and things get cleaned up.
Nice. Will you be sharing any kind of report or anything like that? Maybe like in a year or quarterly or something, just to kind of, show people what kind of success, that this whole, quitting the internet has had for everybody.
Yeah, it's a good question. We have kind of talked about if there's a way we can sort of help quantify it to let people know what we're doing. Because, I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, like team in San Diego headquarters and software doing stuff, it's not going to be visible. And we want to make sure people understand that kind of what we're doing is making a difference.
I feel like even if the reps,
have something,
had a good idea in the, luncheons and different things that they do. I know, like you and Nick text quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It'd be a cool little like snippet of info. Be like, you know what? The last 6 months have been real good. We've, this happened, and, these 50 sites got taken down, or not 50 sites taken down. On these
50 products.
50 products got taken off of all these different sites and things like that. Like, feel like that would help, a lot of pool professionals feel better about everything. Like, I wasn't one of the people that called something in, but it looks like, there's some real progress here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a, like I said, it's a good question. We've talked about it, and I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a big deal. Just let us know every single day, if you wouldn't mind. Can you personally call everybody every day? The departed team?
I'll have my twin do it.
Nice.
Your clone.
Yeah.
This is 2019. He's going to get clone 2020.
So another comment we had received stated that every company, whether it be a service company, builder, or a manufacturer, will run their business as they see fit. We agree that only time will tell if this decision works for the Jandy team. And, we really, applaud you for making a bold statement and, really look forward to seeing the results of, your decision.
Yeah, no, that's we appreciate that feedback. And we've received all kinds of feedback, either direct via word of mouth or on social or, in forums and stuff. And the feedback's been good. There's been a lot of people questioning it and asking questions, which is all good and healthy because we want to have the debate and have a chance to answer questions. But to the point of we'll see if this is good for the long term. I think the beauty of that is this is where Zodiac's placed a bet. And we're betting on the pool professional. We're betting on small business. And that's pretty cool. And in my mind, it's cool to work for a company that places that bet and kind of puts the money on the table, and we'll kind of, we'll do our damnedest to make sure it works out. Yep. But, and we'll see. If I think we're feeling like it was the right call, and we'll do everything we can to make it happen.
I did want to kind of make a statement. You and I talked about, Greg, yesterday. We as pool chasers want to provide a platform that brings these issues to play, but hopefully, you give it a chance. You can see that they're making a statement to do something to make the industry better. That's what we're doing as pool chasers. We want to make the industry better. We want to make you guys better as professionals. And that's what we need to do. So this statement, this to us, to me personally, is a step in the right direction. And, I think take that with a grain of salt, give it a shot, give it a chance, be patient with it. And, nothing changes, overnight. So got to implement those things and processes and procedures and get things going to the positive. And that's what this is,
Most definitely. That's all good stuff. And, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, Brad. You're a very important person for Zodiac and Jandy, and you got a lot of stuff going on, and you did fly in here and you're about to fly back. So we all thank you very much. We really appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you. And I appreciate being called a very important person. I haven't been called that since I left home and miss my mom. But,
you want to hug Brad?
No, thanks for the opportunity. I think this is a hot topic and it's a big deal for us at Zodiac. So I think there's a lot of questions and nuance, and that's just, we're hoping to kind of be able to, hopefully we addressed a bit of that today. And other than that, it's trade show season. Everybody out there knows where to find us. You have further questions, come up and ask. Anyone at Zodiac can answer them.
Yeah, you want to kind of pitch a little bit? So we got jandy.com, right? And then
if anyone's interested in the policy and being able to download what products are included in the trade series list and kind of details of the Jandy warranty, which has important information in it, you can go to jandy.com strong. That's where you'll find everything in one place. Other than that, at the upcoming trade shows, Atlantic City, Orlando, Western, and the regionals, you'll see us actually presenting live, which is an odd format for some of the trade shows. They're not geared towards that, but we're going to make it happen because...
Is that what Michelle did at the most recent one I saw online? Yeah. Like
what Michelle did in the Pool Corp show recently. Mm-hmm. So we're doing that specifically so people that come to listen not only hear what we have to say, but have a chance to ask questions, because we realize getting questions answered is one of the important things we need to do as Zodiac to make sure people understand what's going on and what our plan is and why we're doing it and all that stuff. So just know that, and feel free to ask if any questions come up when you see us at the trade shows over the next couple months.
All right,
Thank you so much, Brad.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending that with us. If you have any questions, please email us at poolchasers.info@gmail.com. Please take the time to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you have not checked out the Facebook group yet, please do so. It's awesome in there. Also, if you could take a little bit of time to go to Apple Podcasts and rate us and review us, that would really help us out there. So thank you guys so much for the support. We appreciate all of you so much.
See you out there, pool chasers.